What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and today I'm back to talk to you about Warhammer 40k. If you're in the US, if you celebrate it, first of all, happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys are safe at home, eating a nice warm meal, and just pigging out. Because it's been a rough year, and you deserve to just, be you for a day. So whether you're watching a football game, relaxing with the family, catching up on those sprues that you gotta clip, build, and paint, let's just relax and listen to what I have to say about the Space Marines in this video. So I'm going to be talking about each individual Space Marine chapter, the main ones at least. I'm not going to be telling you guys what I think about them. Pretty much I'm going to be saying what my favorite aspect about that chapter is, what my least favorite aspect about that chapter is, and what I would love to see get introduced to that chapter. So, without further ado, guys, let's dive right in. The first chapter that we're going to be taking a look at is none other than the Blood Angels. So the thing that I really love about the Blood Angels is their flaws, the Black Rage and the Red Thirst. These things are what really, in my opinion, make the Blood Angels such an enjoyable chapter to have not only in the lore, but also be represented on the battle. When you're playing 9th edition games, the folks on over on our Warhammer community page has said that there's going to be new implementations to what the Black Rage does. When Horus slew the Primarch Sanguinius, the psychic backlash went out and affected every single member of the Blood Angels, and that even affected the Primaris Marines. So basically what the Black Rage does is that it basically puts the Marine back during the Horus Heresy, and they feel like Horus is right in front of them. So they get lashed into this rage and they just attack and attack and attack until they die. Now with the Red Thirst, that's a gene seed deficiency that affected Sanguinius' sons, who he tried to keep secret, but at the end of the day, he couldn't find a cure for it, and it basically makes them thirst for blood, essentially making the Blood Angels vampires. And that's a really cool flaw that you don't really see in the other chapters, and that's why I personally really enjoy the flaws for the Blood Angels. The one thing that I hate about this is the overpoweredness of the lore versus the tabletop, because Mephiston is a badass. He freaking survived dying. He survived the Black Rage and came back, which nobody has done before, and that's really crazy. But on the tabletop, I feel like he's not as great as his stories. Same thing with Dante. Dante's pretty much the next biggest character underneath Gilliman, because he's in charge of basically the southern portion of the galaxy. That's how high of a rank he has within the Imperium, and like there's just a lot that has to do with his lore. Like he's met with the Sanguinor, which potentially could be Sanguinius, maybe. He's met with the Silent King. Like the dude is a badass, and I just wish he was just a little bit better in the tabletop to represent that. You've also got a whole slew of other secondary characters like Asterath. This dude's really badass, like beheading the survivors of the Black Rage when, granting them that final resting place for them. So I just wish that they could at least buff their characters a little bit on the tabletop. But again, we have a new codex that comes out in a week, I believe. So we'll get to see if maybe my want gets fulfilled. And the one thing that I want to see implemented to the Blood Angels is a new, I wouldn't say unit, but I feel like there's a lot of good lore and a lot of good flavor when it comes to their psychic abilities. You've got like the Wings of Sanguinius, the Bloodlance, and I feel like there should be a new representation in the not a unit in like the tabletop, but like in the lore. As we progress further, we find out that Sanguinius may or may not have died against Horus, which kind of lessens the effects of the Black Rage. But anyway, once we get back to that storyline, I want something to kind of come out with the Sanguinor, Sanguinius, etc., but that ties in the psychic powers, because they're pretty badass, and they're very unique, because like sanguinary type warp abilities are just really badass. You could boil somebody's blood, like why hasn't this been touched on before? So just more lore, more I guess more stories, more novelizations on like the psychic powers of the Blood Angels. But that's enough talk for the Blood Angels. Let's keep it moving with the Dark Angels. The thing I love about the Dark Angels is their love for plasma weaponry. You get so many different art. You seeing plasma pistols, plasma obliterators, like it's just really badass. And you get to equip a lot of good characters with these strong weapons. So I really love that aspect of them. Since that's a kind of small thing that I love about them, the wings are really badass. The Deathwing all Terminator units are really cool. So having the implementations of the wings would be really badass. And that kind of ties into the thing that I hate about it, is that you don't get a representation of all the wings within the Raven wings. The Deathwing, and there's more. Like, we only get those two that we can play on the tabletop. Like, I get it. If I think all 7 or 9 of them were implemented, it'd be just too much for the Dark Angels. Like, you'd have way more options than all the other Space Marines. And I get it. You know, you don't want to flood the Dark Angels with a bunch of units. But it'd be nice to see that. And I guess the thing that I would want is at least one more wing represented. Just one more is all I ask. Again, that kind of ties in with like Forge World stuff and like during the Heresy, but I think they should implement something. If not, they could have done this when they brought the Primaris to the fold, but I don't know, we'll see. Maybe when the Lion finally wakes up, or when Cypher storyline comes to a close with the Lion Sword or whatever, maybe we'll get a wing brought back or something. We'll have to wait and see. When it comes to the Imperial Fists / the Black Templars, I'm lopping them together because successor chapter, close enough. I like the fact that they're very stoic. Like, the whole thing with the pain glove is kind of funny too. How they want to do right, and if they feel like they failed, they have to punish themselves. And I think that that's pretty interesting when you think about it, at least psychologically, and how high they put themselves on the pedestal. Because, I mean, when you look at it, they are the last line, or the greatest line of defense against the horrors for humanity. So they really should be, doing the best they can. However, when it comes to the Black Templars, the thing I don't like about them is how, on paper, they're really cool. They're these zealots who think that the Emperor is God, but they hate Psychers. It's like, the Emperor is a Psyker. Like, why can't they understand that and just let Psychers into the fold? But I get it. Like, the whole Council of Nicaea and whatnot. Not the sour taste in their mouth and, like, all that. So I get it. It makes them more unique, but at the same time, just Psychers. It'd be great if you could have Psychers in this. One thing that I'd want to see for the Imperial Fists is just more lore for their HQs, like their named characters. Maybe having them cross the Rubicon and become Primaris. Maybe that'd be some interesting lore to explore, to expand upon. And just more about the rivalry against the was it the Iron Hands? No, the Iron Hands are the Loyalist, the Iron Warriors. There you go. Just a little bit more information on that. Maybe have Perturabo make like a huge battle, and it sparks controversy. I don't know. I just want more. More is what I want. So since I brought them up, let's talk about the Iron Hands. What I love about the Iron Hands is their love for machines. I love the Adeptus Mechanicus. I love the Scutari. The whole praise the Omnissiah. And the thing that I really love about the Iron Hands is their love for machinery. Their Iron Fathers look good, especially the Primaris ones, just an awesome line of models. Especially if you could customize and give them like robotic limbs, robotic eyes. That's pretty amazing. What I don't like about them is the whole the whole thing about them is like the flesh is weak, you know, be like a machine, don't have emotions. Look what it did for them. It created a freaking demon in the warp that like lashed out and attacked them. Just you know, listen to your actual Primarch. He never said, you know, the flesh is weak, don't listen to your emotions. He was a very emotional guy, like he should have paid more attention. One thing that I do want to see for the Iron Hands is that freaking demon made manifest. Like, make that demon into a sculpt. Go into the lore when they fought against that demon. Because I think his name was like the King of the Blind King or something like that. It was really badass. I should cover that storyline in a video soon. I always say that, but for some reason I always forget. But yeah, just have more lore about their battles with that demon. And speaking of demons, let's talk about Grey Knights. So my current homebrew chapter is being played via the rules for the Grey Knights. So I really love how Grey Knights are an entire Psyker army. Every single model is a Psyker, which could be a good thing and a bad thing, especially with the rules for 9th edition. But still, regardless if you have like agendas and secondaries that like give you more points for killing Psykers when your whole army's a Psyker, that's not a good thing. But it gives you options to like smite and just use different warp abilities in battle, and it's just more tools in your tool belt that you could use against your opponent. So the fact that everybody's a Psyker, I love. Again, the thing that I hate about that is that there are rules that are made into the game that specifically target you. So if you're playing Thousand Suns, if you're playing Grey Knights, you're at a disadvantage, because they're always going to pick that secondary that gives them points for every Psyker unit they kill, because your whole army's a freaking Psyker. One thing that I do want to see, or at least have them touch on, is what's going to happen with the Primaris gene, or the whole Primaris aspect, and the Grey Knights. Because when you look at Grey Knight models, they look amazing. A lot of iconography, a lot of details, but they're still stuck at that old scale. So I at least want to see the Grey Knights get new scale, and maybe Primaris, maybe no Primaris. I did a video talking all about that topic. I'll try and link it at the end of the video if I remember. But yes, the whole Primaris thing in Grey Knights, I want that looked into and explored. The Death Watch. These guys are pretty cool because they're doing heresy right in front of your face. What I love about the Death Watch is that they really don't care about the Imperium. What they do care about is killing Xenos. And if that means lying to the Inquisition about using Xenotech against Xenos, I'm okay with that. Especially when you look at their like phase blades. Those are so Necron swords. So it's really badass that they do this. One thing that I don't like about the Death Watch is that I feel like they need more models. Their line is kind of lacking, similar to the Harlequins. But they are a fairly recent addition to the game, so I'll cut them some slack. But come on, GW, give them some more models. And one thing that I do want to see is some more lore around them. You can really do a lot for the Death Watch. I mean, you had that big narrative between Eldrad, the Death Watch, and the revival of the Incarn. So just something more that has to do with like the grander narrative in the Death Watch, to see campaigns like a Vigilus-esque campaign, but have the Death Watch be more pertinent. 5 more to go, so let's keep it going with the White Scars. So the White Scars are amazing because their aesthetic is what I love about them the most. The whole thing about speed, the whole Mongol aspect to it. They wield freaking scimitars. The type of armor that they donned, at least during the Horus Heresy, was really badass and really reminiscent of like what the Mongols wore during, you know, the history. I'm not really sure what year, but I know it happened in the past. So that's pretty cool. Some of their models, you could see the whole like mustaches and the kind of, it's almost like an Oni type masks. I'll see if I can find it and see if that's the image that you see here. So just the whole aesthetic is really amazing, being brought onto like the whole miniature aspect to it. The thing that I don't like about them is that there's barely any lore for them. When you think Space Marines, they're probably the last ones on your mind. I don't know why. GW doesn't really share the spotlight on them too much or too often, which is weird because like bikes and like speed tactics are really good in 40k, and usually they just never get the spotlight. I don't know. One thing that I do want to see is more named characters, more models in general for them. Maybe have a named character Primaris on a bike that's specific to White Scars. Anything really. I just want more White Scar models, and maybe have more of that aesthetic being brought into the Primaris half. Because when you look at Primaris, it's just the same mark armor with just different colors for the most part. So just a little bit more representation, and I think we're good. I think we're good with White Scars. So, speaking of the spotlight, let's talk about the chapter that always steals it, the Ultramarines, GW's baby. So the Ultramarines, what do I like about them? I don't know. To me, they're always just bland, cookie cutter. I guess their chapter tactic, I don't know. Thing I don't like about them, how bland they are. What I want to see for the Ultramarines, I never liked Calgar. I always thought that Cato Sicarius stole the spotlight. Ooh, so I guess I found out who I like. I like Ventress with the whole Demon Kulaba storyline, so that's what I like. What I don't like about it, Calgar. What I want to see more, well no, I don't want to see anything more with the Ultramarines. They get enough, they're good. The Space Wolves, the furries of 40k. No, but Space Wolves are really badass. I really love the Viking aesthetic to it. Their psychic powers are really amazing, really unique too. I like how they don't think it's warp abilities or like magic in that sense. They think it's like runes and they're calling upon their ancestors to aid them, so that's really cool. What I don't like about them is how they name everything wolf, wolf this, wolf that. And what I want to see more special Hellfrost weaponry. Maybe more relics. Ooh, maybe when is their book out? Is their new 9th edition codex out? Because if it is, hopefully they get more like Hellfrost relics for the Crusade. So that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, Space Wolves are alright in my book. The Salamanders. Boy oh boy, do I know about Salamanders. We got a buddy who plays Salamanders, and they are good. They are scary. I hate their trait, so let's start off there. I hate how they just get to re-roll one failed hit, one failed wound every time a unit shoots or attacks. It's really annoying. Oh, that last cannon missed. But did it? No, it hit. Oh, I hit you with a Melta, but am I gonna win? Oh, I rolled a 1. Ooh, but guess what? I get to re-roll it. Yeah. I hate that. What I love about them, their aesthetic. The whole look of like well, they're salamanders, but I mean, they're as close to dragons as you'll get. You've got scales on their armor. Just the whole look of it is really badass. And a lot of times, lava bases for the salamanders. Whew, beauty. What would I want to see more about the salamanders? Just keep it going. I think GW's done a great job with them, making them competitive, giving them really amazing sculpts, such as the Primaris dude. Was it Angrath or whatever his name was? That guy looks really badass. So yeah, same thing with Space Wolves as Salamanders. Keep doing what you're doing, GW. And the last Space Marine chapter that I'm going to be talking about is none other than the Raven Guard. So the Raven Guard, again, I know a lot about them because we have a buddy who plays them. He tends to castle them up and he uses them very stealthy, very sneaky, very tactically. One thing that I do love about them is their sneakiness and their beakiness. It's really cool that when you're shooting at them and you're within or away from 12 inches that they get like a bonus. It's cool, but it's kind of hard to understand because like they're a freaking giant with like armor. How are they sneaking up on you? But that's just something you kind of have to overlook, especially when their Primarch can basically become invisible. So I really love that tactic. The thing I hate about them is that we never got to see, or at least have a model for, back in the Heresy, the mutated Space Marines of the Raven Guard. It's a thing, it happened, like, there were mutants within the chapter, and we never got to see them. So that's something that I wish GW would show us. What I want to see within the Raven Guard, just more lore on Shrike. As you can see here, Shrike and I had a striking resemblance back in the day. So just more lore on Shrike. I mean, he's become Chapter Master, he's become a Primaris, so he has a lot going for him, and I just want to see where that leads to. And yeah, that's all the Space Marine chapters that gives you my 2 cents on. I was going to name this What I'm Thankful For, but I also wanted to just talk about more than just the good. I also want to talk about like the bad and what I want to see. So all in all, hopefully you guys have a good Thanksgiving. If you're painting while watching this, hopefully your brush strokes landed perfectly. And before I go, I just want to get your guys' opinions as a whole on Space Marines. Do you think GW is doing a good job giving them updates pretty much every month? If there is something you want to see differently for Space Marines, what is that? And yeah, hopefully you guys have a happy holiday, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. This has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you then. Peace.